everybody, welcome back to the StabilityWOD. We're going to move up today and we're going to leave the lower body for a little bit. However, we're not really leaving the lower body because the low back and our trunk, I call this the core cylinder, is really the foundation for everything that happens downstream. I'm going to talk about that concept a lot more in future videos, but today I'm going to enlist the help of a can of local beer to discuss how the core cylinder operates in function. And this is going to really set the stage, sort of lay the groundwork for a lot of conversations we're going to be having from here on in, insofar as how we think about engaging the small muscles around our spine when we're doing anything from lifting heavy weights to running to playing tennis. When we get hurt, or when there's inflammation, these muscles tend to shut down, they go offline, and we need to do something to bring them back online. They also are operating no matter which direction we're moving. And in some cases, they even contract before the movement even starts. They're that smart. Our brain signals them to move before we even initiate a movement. So let me share with you how this part of our body is laid out. And then tomorrow we're going to talk more about how we engage these muscles in a way that we can tell whether they're working correctly or whether they're a little bit inhibited and need to be brought back online. So I have a can of Upslope India Pale Ale as a metaphor for our core cylinder. And I'm going to do a little anatomy lesson to help create some understanding around how this system works. The floor of the can is essentially our pelvic floor. These are the muscles between our legs that do bowel and bladder control, but they also help support the base of our pelvis, our sacrum, the orange bone here, and form the base of our spine. So they have a massive stability role helping to stabilize this part of our body. The wall of the can is really the abdominals. Now we have 4 layers of abdominals. The one we all like to look at and work on is the rectus abdominis. It runs vertically. It's a movement muscle. It doesn't really have a huge role in stabilizing the lumbar spine compared to the deep layer, the transverse abdominis, which runs horizontally around us like a corset or a back brace. It has the ability to stabilize us by contracting and decompressing our spine as it holds the contents and the pressure inside the can. So the walls of the can are the abdominals. The seam of the can, where it comes together in the back, is like the multifidus. And the multifidus is a muscle that runs up and down the back of the spine, really deep along the bones, deep to the big erector muscles that we all like to have massaged. The multifidus is another stability muscle that has a role in stabilizing very locally each vertebrae. So we have a can without a top. The top is the diaphragm, and the diaphragm, while it helps us breathe, is a very important muscle at creating stability, especially when we're lifting heavy things. The diaphragm goes on the top of the cylinder, our breath fills the cylinder with air, and that pressurizes that can so we can pick up heavy things. Now, when we're exercising and breathing heavy, the diaphragm is moving up and down. That's its other job. We don't really need the top of the can to keep the contents in and give the can integrity, but it's helpful when the work gets heavy. The psoas is another muscle people talk about, usually as a hip flexor. The psoas may have a small role in movement, but its more important job is to stabilize the spine and the hips. It connects the top of the can to the bottom of the can, giving the cylinder even more integrity. It's important to know that the psoas goes from the front of the spine on the bodies of the vertebrae, crosses over the groin, and attaches very high up into the top of the femur. So it really doesn't have a huge role in moving this huge leg. It more stabilizes that joint. It's part of the rotator cuff and stabilizes the spine from the front. So that's my can analogy for the core cylinder. Tune in tomorrow. We're going to talk about the pelvic floor and the deep abdominal layer as we start to gain awareness around this stability system that protects our low back and helps improve the function of our lower extremities. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe by clicking the button below, comment, ask questions, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.